Good morning, Kasturians, and welcome to another video of chapter Lifelines of National Economy. In the previous introductory video of this chapter, we have discussed about the importance of the means of transport, and we have seen the different types of roads. In today's video, we will discuss about the concept of road density and the problems faced by the road transportation. And we will also discuss about the railways and the railway network prevailing in India. So let's start. Road density refers to the length of road divided by 100 square kilometer of area. That is, the length of road per square 100 square kilometer of area is known as the density of roads. The distribution of road is not uniform in our country, and the density of roads, it varies from one region to another, and it is only about 10.4 kilometers in Jammu and Kashmir to 532.27 kilometers in Uttar Pradesh, with a national average of around 125.02 kilometers. The problems faced by the road transportation in India is very different. When we see the volume of traffic and the volume of passengers, the road network is found to be inadequate. Also, the unmetalled roads, around half of the total length of the roads is unmetalled, and this unmetalling of roads, it limits their usage during the rainy season. The national highways, not all but some of the national highways, they are also inadequate, and the roadways, they are highly congested in cities, and most of the bridges and culverts, they are old and narrow. Also, the roads, due to congestion of traffic, the space available on the roads is getting reduced, so a need for widening of roads is required. And obviously this road transportation is also associated with the problem of environmental pollution due to heavy smoke being released by the diesel vehicles operating on the road. Although the government is taking initiative to control this air pollution, but still, to control the air pollution, speedy and unstopped traffic needs to be regulated on the road, and that's why road networks need to be developed by construction of overbridges, underpasses or flyovers. Next is our railways. These are the principal mode of transportation for freight and passengers in India when it comes to long distances. It is still favored over the road transportation because bulky movement of goods and passengers is more favorable using the railways. The railways, they also make it possible to conduct multifarious activities like business, sightseeing, pilgrimage, along with the transportation of goods over long distances. The Indian Railways, they have been a great integrating force for more than 150 years. The economic life of the country as well as the pace of development of the industry, they are both bound by railways. Around 7,133 stations are included in the Indian Railway network, and a route length of 64,460 kilometers, and a fleet of 9,213 locomotives, 53,220 passenger service vehicles, 6,493 other coach vehicles, and 2,29,381 wagons were there in the fleet of Indian Railways as on March 2011. The Indian Railways is the largest public sector undertaking in the country, and the Indian Railways is now organized into 18 zones for easy control. And these zones are the Central Railway, having its headquarter in Mumbai, the Northern Railway, having its zonal headquarter in Delhi, the North Eastern Railway, having its headquarter in Gorakhpur, the Northern Frontier Railway with its zonal headquarter in Guwahati, the Eastern Railway with its headquarter in Kolkata, the South Eastern Railway with its headquarter again in Kolkata, the South Central Railway with its zonal headquarter in Sikandarabad, and the Southern Railway having its headquarter in Chennai, Western Railway with its headquarter in Mumbai, again Southwestern Railway with its headquarter in Hubli. Then we have Northwestern Railway with its headquarter in Jaipur. Then we have West Central Railway, which is having its zonal headquarter in Jabalpur. Then we have North Central Railway with its zonal headquarter in Allahabad, and the South East Central Railway with its zonal headquarter in Bilaspur. The East Coast Railway having its zonal headquarter in Bhubaneswar. Then we have East Central Railway, which has its headquarter in Hajipur, Bihar, and we have the Metro Railway, which has its headquarter in Kolkata, and then in the last we have South Coast Railway, which is having its zonal headquarter in Visakhapatnam. So these are the major 18 railway zones in which the entire Indian Railway is divided. The distribution pattern of railway is influenced by physiographic, economic and administrative factors. We have the northern plains, which have vast level land, high population density and rich agricultural resources. So that's why the favorable conditions for their growth is there. Also, since these plains are having a large number of rivers, so constructing the bridges over the river networks are a problem. In the hilly terrain areas of the peninsula, railway tracks, they are laid through the low hills, gaps or tunnels. So that's why there is a problem. Apart from this, when we see the Himalayan mountains, they are the most unfavorable places for railway tracks. Why? Because in the Himalayan mountains, the construction of railway lines is almost difficult due to high relief, sparse population and lack of economic opportunities. Also, on the sandy plains of Rajasthan, the swamps of Gujarat, the forested tracts of Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Odisha and Jharkhand, these railway tracks are almost difficult to be laid, and that's why these are the unfavorable places listed by the Indian Railways. But apart from this, the recent development, that is the development of the Konkan Railway along the western coastal plain, it has facilitated the movement of passengers and goods. And since this region is very important region regarding economy, that's why this particular developed railway network has linked the most prosperous economic region and has facilitated the movement of passengers as well as goods. But the railways too, like road transport, they also face a number of challenges, like the sinking of track in some stretches and the landslides. They are a major cause of damage to the railway tracks, especially in the hilly areas. Also, apart from this, the passengers traveling without tickets, the thefts and damage of railway property, the pulling of the chain unnecessarily by the people to stop the train causes heavy damage to the railways, and still a lot of work needs to be done on this. That's all we have in this video. Thank you and have a nice day.